Law is fundamental to effective public policy, and by examining cases, laws, policies, and problems, we can make recommendations for good legal and policy decisions and outcomes. In this module, we're going to discuss the process to get started with a legal research paper. The first way to narrow the field of research is to choose an area that interests you. This area does not have to be the field in which you ultimately plan to build a career, but keep in mind that you will spend many hours researching this topic and writing and editing. Don't sabotage yourself from the start by selecting an area where you think you ought to write about, but it isn't really going to keep you engaged throughout the process. At the same time, remember, there is no such thing as a perfect topic. Do choose a topic that is discrete and narrow enough to be handled well within the confines of the paper requirements. Start reading. If you're unsure of the area in which you want to write, start by reading a broad range of articles in a variety of journals or trade publications to develop a sense of what areas may interest you, as well as the kinds of topics that warrant articles, and look to see how people write. If you're confident of your area of interest, read within that area to get a sense of unanswered questions you may wish to address. As you read and become engaged with the ideas being discussed, you'll begin to formulate your own thoughts on the subject. There are many sources of potential topics. One starting point is recent cases, regulations, or legislation. And on the screen, I've given you a potential list of sources there for ideas that you might be able to glean some information from that will spark some interest. Once you've selected your topic, really dig into the literature that's already out there. Secondary sources describe or interpret the law, such as legal treatises, law review articles, or other scholarly legal writings cited by lawyers to persuade a court to reach a particular decision in a case, but which the court is not obligated to follow. I usually start with Google and look for news articles discussing my topic. From there, I go to my school's online library to look for peer-reviewed or law journal articles about my topic. This helps me see what has already been noted and helps generate ideas for how I can make this paper my own by adding something new to the existing literature. Then you can move to primary sources, sources that establish or interpret the law, such as case decisions or legislative acts. You'll want to keep track of this area as you write your paper, especially when it comes to cyber law or anything related to technology. The law is always evolving. So go in with the philosophy that legal research is really never done. Be sure you have the basic facts about your topic. Ask the who, what, where, when, why, and how questions. This may seem obvious, but you have to be sure you understand the facts surrounding your legal issue before you start. Articulate any legal issue very clearly so you'll have a better idea of what remaining literature you may need to pull to validate your thoughts or lead you to a conclusion and recommendations. If you're having trouble finding information, the library is a great resource. University libraries can help you with sources and search terms. Don't be afraid to ask them for help. I've put a resource in the readings area for you that may be tremendously helpful as you get started. This is a paper by Professor Eugene Volokh. He notes that good legal scholarship should make a claim that's novel, non-obvious, useful, sound, and seen by the reader to be those things: novel, non-obvious, useful, and sound. Here are some examples of different approaches that have been taken in the past when you're trying to craft a thesis statement. Law X is unconstitutional because, and then you elucidate your argument. The legislature ought to enact the following statute. Properly interpreted, this statute means, or this law is likely to have the following side effects and therefore should be rejected or modified to say this. Courts have interpreted the statute in the following ways. Or viewing the law, and then you can take a theory approach, an angle, if you will, on how you want to look at a particular law or policy, viewing this from, say, a feminist or a Catholic or an economic perspective, leads us to conclude that the law is flawed and should be changed in this way. As Volok says, capturing your point in a single sentence really helps you focus your discussion and helps you communicate your core point to the readers. Moreover, many readers will remember only one sentence about your article, especially if they only read the introduction, as many readers do. You need to understand what you want that sentence to be so you can frame your article in a way that will help readers absorb your main point. Volok also encourages that you do your own research with an open mind. Be willing to make whatever claims your reading and thinking lead you to. Also be willing to change or refine the problem itself. Remember that your goal is to find whatever problem will yield the best article. Don't feel locked into a particular problem or solution just because that's where you started.